Perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka pasisingil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidikdik. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walaming pagsikta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga apit at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the invocation to be led by Rocco.
Dear God, thank you for today. Thank you for my family and my friends. I really have a lot to be thankful for. But tonight, I am especially thankful for something that is normal to me every day. Thank you, God, for the gift of food. Together with everyone here, I pray for Cedric, Dexter, and Vanessa, and others like them, for them to be healthy. And I know they can be if we help. Also, thank you, God, that we are here now to remind us to be good and kind to others and to do what we can. Amen.
You may now take your seats. Good evening and welcome to United for Healthier Kids, a food forum on malnutrition. Thank you for being here tonight to support our advocacy. To take us through tonight's big fight, let us all welcome your host, star athlete, TV host, and youth advocate, Miss Gretchen Hall.
Good evening, everyone. What a pleasure it is to be with everyone here tonight. My name is Gretchen Ho, and I will be your host for tonight's event. Good evening to our friends from the press, to our public and private organizations, to our corporate partners, to our Nestle VIPs. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Thank you for braving the traffic, and I hope you're all very excited as we join and unite to fight malnutrition. Now, for my first question, may napansin ba kayong kakaiba sa event natin ngayong gabi? Well, yung dinner natin, medyo kakaiba. Sinerve tayo ng giniling na mais, ng saba, tsaka malabnaw na lugaw. That is because we want you guys to experience firsthand the struggle of these kids around us against malnutrition. And of course, syempre, kung kayo na-experience na yun ngayong gabi, nauna naman ako sa inyo. Ako rin, na-experience ko rin ang pagkain ng giniling na mais. And to be honest with you, at first, sabi ko, ang sarap. Masarap to, malasa, parang ginataan. Pero nung tumatagal, nung kinakain ko siya, paulit-ulit, sabi ko, ito lang kinakain nila. Walang laman. Kanin, corn, and I worked out right after that, after eating giniling na mais. And I felt like I had no energy at all. Yes, I had the energy to run, to go around, to do my usual routine, but not enough energy to perform, to be excellent, and to be the best person that I can be. And that is what these kids are experiencing all over the country. Yung giniling na mais na kinain natin, yung saba, yung malabnaw na lugaw, that's actually more than what they have. And that's not just only me who experienced that. I also have my colleagues and friends who will share to you their own experiences with these videos.
Hey guys, isang araw narinig ko yung kwento ni Vanessa na taga Tagum City. Nagulat ako kasi nalaman ko halos araw-araw ang kinakain lang niya ay saba. Kaya sinubukan ko ng ilang beses. Ang masasabi ko lang, napakahirap. Lalo na para sa isang tao katulad ko na lagi nasa taping, shooting, segue-segue, meeting, rehearsals. Imposible. Imposible pag hindi sapat yung nutrition mo. Imagine nyo, parang si Vanessa. Parang si Vanessa at yung mga bata katulad niya. Ang hindi ko maintindihan bakit hanggang ngayon ganito pa rin. Guys, it's time to come together and fight malnutrition.
Guys, nung isang araw, nalaman ko ang kwento ni Dexter na galing ng Cebu. Hindi ako makapaniwala na halos araw-araw ang kinakain niya lang ay malabnaw na lugaw. Hindi ko alam kung paano siya namumuhay na ganun lang ang kinakain niya. Kaya sinubukan ko yun. Ginawa ko for how many days. And unang tikim ko pa lang, para akong umiinom ng tubig. Parang mas marami ang tubig kaysa sa kanin na dapat kong kainin. Kaya hindi ko maisip paano nagagawa yun ng isang batang katulad ni Dexter na ang dapat ay ang kainin niya ay masustansyang pagkain dahil yan ang number one basic need ng isang tao. Kaya tara, let's fight malnutrition together.
We know it's real. We know hunger is there. We know there are kids who are like that. Dexter, Vanessa, Cedric. But how important is it and how valuable is it to the future of these kids? Now, 7 million Filipino children are currently suffering from malnutrition. And because of this, most kids fail to reach their full potential. Ang tanong, pababayaan na lang ba natin sila na ganyan ang future nila? Hahayaan na lang ba natin na ang malnutrition, ang hunger, mga problema na manatili? O may gagawin ba tayo tungkol doon? And I think it's time that we do something about it and we unite against malnutrition. Now, our first speaker for this evening is leading the fight against malnutrition. To formally open tonight's program, may we call on the chairman and CEO of Nestlé Philippines, the great Mr. Jacques Reber.
Good evening, everybody. Let me first some of our very distinguished guests that took the time to be with us tonight, that started also their fight against malnutrition. I would like first to welcome Senator Grace Poe, Director Mario Caponzana, Mr. Rex Coz, Dr. Adela Jamorabo Ruiz, distinguished guests, United for Healthier Kids funding partner, contributing NGOs, colleague from Nestlé Philippines, incorporated member of the media and university and college representative, local student publication, student council, youth organization. Welcome, everybody. It is an honor. It is a privilege. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight. I have probably said that many times in opening speech in events. Tonight, it is very special, and it means something different. Yes, it is an honor to be with you. It is an honor to be surrounded by people that say stop to malnutrition. It is an honor, it is a privilege to be with you tonight, with people that have decided to act, with people, partners, friends, colleagues that have decided we're going to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So yes, tonight it is an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be here tonight. We are here tonight to say stop to malnutrition. Enough is enough. We cannot continue in this country to grow, to have a nice economic development, and to ignore that there are a million kids that are malnourished. There are a million kids that are suffering from deficiencies of development because they just don't have food. We cannot accept that anymore. I arrived in the Philippines something like 18 months ago, and I come from Switzerland. The problem of malnutrition in Switzerland is very different than here. So when we arrived here with my family and my kids, they looked at me, they understand the situation of the country here. They looked at me and they asked me, Dad, you're leading a company which is the #1 food company in the Philippines. What are you going to do about malnutrition? You cannot just, we didn't come just to the Philippines to sell Nescafe and Milo. We have to go to do something else. And they really looked at me and said, so what are you going to do? And at that time I told them, I'm not sure what I can do. But one thing I can say, I'm proud to be part and to work for a company that 150 years ago, at the origin, the idea, the passion was to fight against malnutrition. For 150 years ago, we have put this idea of creating shared value in the heart of our business model. Our ambition, our vision is not just to generate profits. We are part of a community. And when you are in a community where you have millions of kids suffering, you are also suffering. Where you are in a country that have millions of kids suffering from malnutrition, the country is suffering. We can be happy about the growth, but when there is millions of kids suffering, it's a call for action. It's not a scope that there are people that are suffering from malnutrition, kids. Everybody knows that. But unfortunately, we have a tendency to forget. We have a tendency to put it back because it's not very pleasant during a dinner to talk about malnutrition of the others. It's difficult. So if we are here today, it's to join forces. It's to remember that while we have having a good life and a good economic growth, there are people who do not enjoy that. And they are part of our community. And this is why we are here. No one in this room has the solution. No one can fix it. Neither the government, the administration, an NGO, another, neither non-company, even if you are as big as Nestlé, you cannot solve that alone. This is the idea of United for Healthier Kids. How together we can move the thing. We can move the barrier. How together we can leverage the strengths, the competency of everyone. Everyone has a piece of the solution. But what is the so good feeling tonight is that tonight we all have the same ambition. It's an humble ambition but it is the ambition to be part of the solution and to fight against malnutrition. I'm sorry to say it is not acceptable to have millions of people that have no future just because they have no food. And if you are here, if I am here, it's because I work for a company that understands that and wants to act. But I'm also here as a father because my kids, when we arrived, asked me a question. And the day I will leave this country, I would like to call them and to look them in the eyes and to say to them, probably I haven't done much, but I tried hard. I tried hard to help those kids to have a better future, a future like you. There is no reason why you should have a better future than those kids that have not the same chance at the beginning. So this is why we are all here tonight. This is why many of you are working hard every day. And trust me, there is a lot of passion, there is a lot of commitment behind this project from Nestlé, from all our partners. But for all those people that are in the barangays every day, in the countryside, in some area of Manila, near to those people who are suffering from hunger, we might sometimes appear to be awkward. Sometimes we might not know what to do. And if we are also here and we ask you to join us, it's also to help us to have an impact, to help us to do something better, something beyond what we do every day. And for that, I really would like to warmly thank you for your presence, to warmly congratulate you for what you do every day, for the impact that you have on those people. And again, it is an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to be with you tonight. Thank you very much. Now, let me introduce you our next guest speaker. You know, I didn't use my note to speak, but now our next guest speaker is so distinguished, I will have to read that. It is impressive. Our next guest speaker holds the record for getting the highest number of votes in history. In 2013 senatorial election, she gained not less than 20 million votes, the highest any candidate received in our entire election history. Our speaker is a product of Assumption College, University of the Philippines, Manila, and Boston College, Massachusetts, where she earned her AB Political Science degree. She is also a Lee Kuan Yew Fellow of the National University of Singapore. Prior to winning her Senate seat, our speaker chaired the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board. And she's also extremely active in her Senate role. In only her first 3 years in the Senate, our speaker has principally authored 4 laws, namely the Republic Act 10639 or the Free Mobile Text During Disaster Act. The Republic Act 10640, which streamlined the 3-witness rule of the Dangerous Drug Act. The Republic Act, which provides stiffer penalties for carnapping, and the new closed caption law. She is also the co-author of the Marina Act, the Go Negocio Act, Sugarcane Industry Development Act, and Expanded Senior Citizen Act. During this 17th Congress, our guest speaker continues to push her pet measure, such as Freedom of Information Bill, and something which is also very close to my heart and to our heart, the first 1,000 days bill and the libreng pananghan halingyan san pampublikong paraharan. I'm so sorry to be that bad. I should be better, but school feeding program. This is what I will remember. This is what you should remember, the schooling feeding program. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all give a warm round of applause to our very distinguished guest speaker, Senator Grace Poe.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Mr. Jacques Reber, Mr. Paulo Mercado, Dr. Maria Capanzana, Dr. Adela Hamorabo Ruiz, Miss Maria Reza, Mr. Rex Cos, yung aking pinsan kasi siya si Gretchen po, ako naman si Grace po, kaya ho po. Mr. Partner NGOs, mga estudyante, ilan dito ang mga sa student organizations? Pakitaas nga ang inyong kamay. Thank you guys for being here. It's really important so that you can spread the word among your classmates and friends in school. So to everyone, hello and good evening po. Umpisa pa lang ng January. Ilan sa inyo dito ang may mga New Year's resolution? Taas ang kamay. Ilan sa inyo dito ang sa ngayon na may mga New Year's resolution, ang so far, you're still able to keep that resolution? Konti na ng pakonti. Ilan sa inyo dito ang may resolution na pumayat itong darating na taon? Now, to be brutally honest, how many of you here have this resolution year after year? Okay, may nagbago ba? Sana this year meron na. Tiwala lang. Importante talaga na medyo mag-slim down, medyo maging healthy. You know, a new year is always a fresh start. That's why January is always full of hope. SWS, Pulse Asia, they'll always ask before January. And people are hopeful that their lives will be better. Then pagdating ng third quarter, medyo paiba na ang ihip ng hangin. As individuals, we all wish to be better versions of ourselves when we mature. But that goal is not easy to fulfill most of the time. Gusto nating pumayat, pero gusto rin nating subukan lahat ng bagong eat all you can. Only rice. Gusto nating maging mas fit, pero tinatamad naman tayong maglakad o mag-jog kasi mainit at polluted. Do you realize, however, that if you're among those, kung concerned kayo sa diet, kung concerned kayo sa pagpapapayat, at ang problema nyo ay magpigil ng pagkakain, you belong to the minority. While some of us may intentionally starve ourselves to get to our desired weight, millions of Filipinos are starving involuntarily. Yes, indeed. Food literally separates the haves from the have-not. And sadly, there's still a significant number of have-nots, even as they say that our economy has already greatly improved. I have seen the face of hunger up close and personal, and I would like to share with you my thoughts on these. During the last presidential campaign, I traveled extensively throughout the country. I tried to reach as many places as I could, and the demands of the campaign really took a toll on me. Kumalat yung chismis na may sakit daw ako kasi sobra akong pumayat. Pero actually, enjoy ako na pumayat ako. Kasi napakahirap magpapayat. Sabi ko nga, the presidential campaign for me was the most expensive weight loss program. Kasi, kailangan magising ka mga alas 4 ng umaga, tapos aalis ka na, pupunta ka na sa isang probinsya, babalik ka siguro mga sa bahay mo alas 11 na ng gabi. Ganun na naman kinabukasan. At wala sa oras ang pagkain. So mahirap kumain. But what made it even harder is that I met a lot of people in poverty-stricken areas. And though they managed to greet me with eager smiles and hugs, they would tell me about their problems. Most of their worries were about the lack of food and job opportunities. Tama yung sinabi nila. Sa sine lang masaya ang mahihirap, na palaging may happy lesson na natututunan, tapos masaya ang ending. Pero in the latest SWS survey conducted during the fourth quarter of 2015, it was found that 2.6 million families experience involuntary hunger. So pag 2.6 million families, that's about 12 million Filipinos. Kasi, more or less, imumultiply mo yan kung ilan yung average na anak nila plus both parents. Hunger can drive you to do many contemptible and shameful things, mga nakakahiyang bagay dahil nagugutom ang pamilya mo. Have you ever experienced being so busy ka, wala ka ng time kumain? Yung mga gutom na gutom ka na, kaya masungit ka na sa mga kasama mo. Sungit na yan kasi gutom na yan eh. Just imagine the things you would do if you had not eaten for days. Eh kung ikaw nagutom dahil you had to skip your lunch, or maybe even skip dinner, what more people who have not eaten for days on it? Narinig na ba ninyo ang term na pagpag? For sure, right? Sinong hindi pa nakakarinig ng term na pagpag? Itaas ang kamay. So, sikat na sikat dito ngayon yan. Imagine, usong-usong pagpag dito. Samantalang yung mga billboard natin, ang daming liposuction, pampapayat, ganito, ganyan. Pero, di ba, pakalayo ng concerns natin. Dapat ang mga pinapakita natin ay yung mga programa na pwede talagang makatulong sa ating mga kababayan. Ang pagpag, as you know, food scraps collected from our garbage bins are dusted off. That's why they're called pagpag. Pinapagpag muna, nililinis. Tapos, lulutuin siguro muna at saka kakakainin ulit. Can we find ways so that people do not have to eat from our garbage cans? The daily struggle to find a decent meal is real. And children, of course, are the most vulnerable in this situation. In April 2013, the UNICEF reported that we have 3.6 million stunted children, which made the Philippines rank 9th in the list of countries with the highest incidence of stunting. Dito nga sa Southeast Asia, tayo na yata ang may pinakamanga maliliit na bata. Kaya nga, alam mo, paborito pa naman natin, basketball. Pero ang liliit natin. Ako nga, maliit. Pero, hindi lang dapat kasi sa genetics, pwede mag-improve na yung ating race kung tama lang yung ating nutritional program. Alam nyo ba sa Thailand, meron na talaga silang programa for feeding at saka yung mga milk programs nila kasi they're really aiming to make their race bigger, taller, so that they can compete, they can be more athletic. Pero tayo, hindi man lang yun eh. Para lang basic intelligence rin maayos. In the same year, we ranked 10th among countries with the highest incidence of wasting. It was reported that we have about 769,000 children suffering from either moderate or severe wasting. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng stunting at wasting? Kasi pag sinabi nila dati wasted, ang iniisip natin wasted, parang drug addict, bangag. Hindi eh. Ang wasted, ang ibig sabihin, halos butot balat na ang katawan ng isang tao o bata. It has also been found that childhood malnutrition leads to poor performance in school and diminishes intellectual ability as adults. This affects their performance at work and could result in economic hardships for these individuals and their families. Alam nyo ba na ang mga eskwela, maraming mga nag-a-absent kasi walang makain. Nagugutom, nagkakasakit, nahihiya, walang baon. May mga paaralan na sinusuportahan ng mga NGOs katulad ng private citizens ng Britain. Favorite example ko to, yung isang school sa Balot Tondo. Libre po doon ang almusal, libre rin ang tanghalian. Ang kanilang attendance rate ay 99.9%. Ang mga bata mas mataas ang score kesa sa mga nag-aaral sa Makati or sa Taguig na mas mayaman na mga cities dahil may pagkain. May mga ballet dancers sila. Ang gagaling ng mga bata. Lalaking matalino sapagkat hindi nagugutom. Imagine, that's all it takes. Now, sabi nila, it takes a community to raise a child. And that's true. That just means that each one of us should be able to contribute what we can. I have a Senate Bill 160, or the libreng, ito yung sinasabi ni Mr. Jacques kanina eh. Ang sinasabi niya, he was trying to read it, Libreng Pananghalian sa Pampublikong Paaralan Act. At saka yung isa naman is Senate Bill 161, known as the First 1,000 Days Act. Okay, let me explain. Libreng Pananghalian proposes to institutionalize a school feeding program for all public elementary and high school students nationwide sa public schools. So papasok ngayon ang mga bata, walang pagkain sa bahay, walang problema, may pagkain na sa paaralan. Tapos, yung bill ko to matagal ko na pinaglalaban ngayon, second reading na. Mukhang mapapasa kasi ang partner ko ngayon, ang chairman ng Education Committee sa Senado, believes in this bill. Senator Bam prioritized it. So we will pass it, and I spoke to my colleagues and I really appealed to them for help. You know, it will cost a lot of money, more than 40 billion pesos. But every child will have food. And we will try to source it from the local community, from the farmers. So they will provide the vegetables, the meat, etc. So there will be a concerted effort to get the community involved. Now, they tried this before. During the administration passed this last one. Kaya lang ang binigay nila, noodles na walang nutrition, na overpriced. Di pwedeng ganon. That's why we will monitor it closely. The second is the first 1,000 Days Act. Ibig sabihin nun, nasa sinapupunan pa lang, while the mother is pregnant, the mother will already be given vitamins and the proper nutrition because they believe, well, you know, research have shown that the brain of a child is actually developed in a mother's womb. And if you don't feed the child properly within the first 2 years of the child's life, beginning from the time of conception, opportunities are already missed when it comes to brain development. Mga kababayan, alam niyo ba't napaka-importante ito at matagal ko nang tinutulak ito. Sapagkat ang Pilipinas, sinasabi nila overpopulated tayo. Totoo yan. 104 million people, maraming Pilipino. But it is also an advantage because we have one of the youngest workforces in the world. Why do you think Nestle likes it here? A lot of children need milk. A lot of families need coffee. We are a very vital market to the international community. Our workforces are sought after because, well, they're young, they're quite skilled. Pero that will not be an advantage if our citizens are not smart. Oo nga, marami tayong mga trabahador, marami tayong empleyado. Kung hindi naman matalino, kasi hindi lumaking masustansya yung kinakain, or walang pagkain, hindi man lang sa sustansya, walang pagkain. Sayang naman. Diba? So, alam mo, sabi ng Goldman Sachs, pagdating ng 2050, the Philippines will be the 13th largest economy in the world, and we will reach a demographic sweet spot. In fact, we already are there. So to prepare that, the government has to invest on the young population now, and even on children who are not even born yet. That is our long-term investment that I guarantee will pay off. So, let me skip because these are the things that I already talked about. But poverty and farmers go hand in hand. Poverty, hunger, and malnutrition are intertwined. It is ironic that the people who provide us with food are those that are most hungry. Ang mga magsasaka natin ang pinakagutom sa ating bansa. Most of them are farmers and agricultural workers. Farmers earn approximately 178 pesos daily, so farmers cannot even afford to buy premium, well-milled rice that costs about 42 pesos per kilo because this would leave little else for ulam, clothing, and other household essentials. So yung nagtatanim ng bigas, hindi man lang makabili ng dekalidad na bigas. According to the 2015 Family Income and Expenditure Survey, the poorest 30% of families spend 59.7% of their income or more than half of what they earn on food expenditures. Alam nyo, pag pinababa natin ang presyo ng pagkain, kunyari, our policy for rice, let's help the rice farmers maybe have diversified crops and then import rice from where it's cheaper. We can lower the incidence of poverty by 5%. That's a lot. Anyway, more to the point, we need to find ways on how to increase the productivity of farmers. Now I've had the privilege of listening to a presentation by Nestle, and it's truly heartwarming that you guys are doing this. To consolidate all of these different NGOs and also students and even your employees to come up with this corporate social responsibility is quite admirable, creating shared values. I heartily commend Nestle for this, and I thank you. And I would like to propose just a few more ways by which we can strengthen and support our farmers. Number one, embark on a nationwide soil testing program to find out what to plant and where. Upon gathering this information, assist farmers to shift to area-appropriate crops and more lucrative, high-value crops. Alam mo, sabi nila yung kape daw dito sa Pilipinas, binibili halos lahat ng Nestle from our farmers. So, but the coffee that we produce is not even enough to fulfill our own consumption. So there's clearly an opportunity there for farmers to have a higher value crop. And I thank Nestle for partnering up with farmers, for giving them the seeds, for giving them the technology transfer, and also the marketing for their products. Number two, let's widen access of small farmers to formal credit. Financing is key. Kailangan nila ng pondo para hindi sila pumunta sa 5-6. At hindi nila ibenta sa luging presyo ang kanilang mga pananim o mga iaani nila bago pa nila iani. Number three, capitalize on information and communications technology-based tools that can help in marketing products. Certainly, the younger generation can use social media so that you know how much the pricing is, let's say, in the local market or even in the world market of your products. And you know what? I think there's also corporate social responsibility. A company has put up a weather app, and it's very accurate. Almost by every 3 hours, they update it, so farmers know when to plant if they rely on rain-fed plants or rice. There's an interesting program based in Brazil called the Zero Hunger Strategy. It creates linkages between small farmers and their national school feeding program. So we'd like to have that. Through this strategy, the government's feeding program is required to buy at least 30% of its food supply from the farmers. This will ensure a source of fresh and locally produced ingredients, which will equally benefit the children and the farmers, as well as generate other non-farm jobs, transport, nutrition, and management. So in closing, I would like to mention something I read in the Nestle report that made an impression on me. It said, we in Nestle believe that a truly successful business not only infuses a nation with the economic means to prosper, it also contributes to a thriving society. I am delighted that there are companies which have acknowledged their responsibility to the larger community and are doing something about it. Ms. Puyat of Ogilvy mentioned to me that this is quite far and few between, but hopefully we can get more companies to do such important work for the community. I am overjoyed to see many young faces, mga kabataan na naririto. Hindi lamang sabi kasi nila hindi daw sexy ang laban pagdating sa kagutuman. Mas exciting ang iba't mga advokasya. Mga war on drugs, for example. Oh, may problema tayo doon, pero problema ito ng mas maraming tao. Ngayon, do you remember the line in Rogue One? Ang sabi nila, revolutions are built on hope. So let's spread more hope so we can find revolutionary ways to introduce genuine change and achieve a hunger-free society. US President John F. Kennedy once said that the war on hunger is truly mankind's war on liberation. This is a battle we must all wage against vigorously and victoriously. Pwede, extrajudicial feeding na lang ang gawin natin. Gutom, gutom ang dapat patayin at hindi ang nagugutom. Maraming salamat po at magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
May we request Senator Poe to please remain on stage as we call on Mr. Reber and Nestle Senior Vice President for Marketing, Communication, and Innovation, Mr. Paolo Mercado, to join you on stage. As a token of appreciation, we present the U4HK coin. This advocacy is for and about the Filipino child. We decided to come up with a symbol, a physical representation of the face of the Filipino child. From the photos of children submitted to U4HK by 50,000 parents through Facebook in 2014, and using advanced digital technology, we created back then what we call the Faces of the Future. The faces of the future, that of a boy and a girl, are depicted in two sets of commemorative coins minted by the Central Bank of the Philippines, which now serves as the physical representation of the Filipino child used by U4HK as it rolls out the next phase of the advocacy. We are privileged to present to you, Senator Poe, the U4HK commemorative coins, a symbol of our shared commitment to help raise healthier Filipino children now and in the future. Once again, thank you, Senator Grace Poe, for joining us tonight. The Philippines is facing a number of nutrition challenges today, foremost of which is undernutrition among children. It has been established that consistent undernutrition can lead to stunting, which can mean that essential physical and mental growth processes are compromised, and which in turn can lead to health issues in adulthood, such as high blood pressure, heart diseases, diabetes, and even obesity. It is about time we get our minds and hearts together for an in-depth discussion on the issue. Tonight, we have invited experts from different fields to help us understand the hunger situation in the Philippines. From the Department of Science and Technology, Director of the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, Dr. Mario Capanzana. The President of the Nutritionist Dietitians Association of the Philippines, Dr. Adela Hamorabo Ruiz. Next up is Nestlé Philippines Senior Vice President for Marketing, Communication, and Innovation, Mr. Paolo Mercado. Completing our panel is the CEO and Executive Editor of Rappler. Please welcome Ms. Maria Reza. Let us also welcome once again the moderator for tonight's forum, Ms. Gretchen Ho.
Thank you so much once again to Senator Grace Poe for giving us a very good context about malnutrition. Maraming salamat din for joining us. We have Ms. Doc Mar Capanzana to join us from the FNRI. So maraming salamat sa pagdalo ngayong gabi. I'm sure your various expertise will really help everyone in this room tonight to understand what malnutrition is all about and how everyone can help. Diba? Meron tayong mga friends from the press, corporations, but sino ba yung mga millennials natin dito? Millennials? Do I see oh, sir, are you a millennial? Are you sure? Just kidding. No, but seriously speaking, actually medyo nagulat po ako dun sa sinabi ni Senator Grace po that the hungriest people that we have are the farmers. And I'm sure you can enlighten us all more about nutrition. So why don't we start with our panelists? Now, being experts in your own field, your perspective will definitely shed light on this ongoing crisis of hunger and malnutrition, especially among Filipino children. So, on behalf of United for Healthier Kids, thank you so much for being here tonight and to share some very important facts regarding this issue. So, let us hear first from the Director of FNRI, or the Food and Nutrition Research Institute, Dr. Mario Capanzana, to give us a brief background on the rate of hunger and malnutrition in the Philippines, particularly among school children.
Yeah, maraming salamat at for giving us the opportunity to share this information. I think Senator Po has explained already kung ano yung klase ng malnutrition. Ang kanyang magnitude of this particular problem. Pag sinabi natin ng yung underweight, ito yung datos na batang kulang sa kanyang timbang ayon sa kanyang edad. So sa mga bata ngayon, nakikita natin na ang proportion ay 3 sa bawat 10 ay tinatawag nating underweight. At ito ay nagiging dahilan din pag parati siyang underweight, yung tinatawag nating stunting. Ano ba yung stunting na pinakita rin ni Senator Po? Ito yung mga batang kulang sa kanyang taas ayon sa kanyang edad. At ito ay nangyayari sa pamagitan ng kung siya ay tuloy-tuloy ng nagugutom, nagiging hindi sapat ang quality ng pagkain, at ang magnitude nito sa atin sa kasalukuyan ay 3 sa bawat 10 bata. At ito ay isang problema na malaki sa atin na dapat tugunan, sapagkat ito ay yung tinatawag nating chronic. Matagal na siyang hindi natutugunan yung kanyang pangangailangan sa nutrisyon. At ito ay irreversible. So, those are the situation that we need to act right now.
Okay, so tama po yung sinabi nyo, no? There's stunting, there's wasting, and there's also the 1,000 days, yung sinabi ni Senator Grace po about, needing the proper nutrition in your first 1,000 days or else it will be irreversible.
Yes.
So later, actually maraming tayong katanungan tungkol dyan, especially when it comes to yung terms natin and how you define hunger from malnutrition and how each of these terms cause each other. So, but before that, let's hear from another nutrition expert, the president of the NDAP, or the Nutritionist Dietitians Association of the Philippines, Dr. Adela Hamurabo Ruiz.
Good evening. The NDAP is the organization of registered nutritionist dietitian in the Philippines, and we are an organization with 35 chapters nationwide. So all over the country, we can assist using the nutrition care process to provide the services for our people in terms of nutrition. So the causes of malnutrition are many, and they can come from the household and the family. Inadequate complementary feeding. Although we advocate breastfeeding for the first 6 months, if the child is no longer given the right amount of supplementary food, then malnutrition can set in. And also the inadequate breastfeeding practices. There are a lot of them. Also when there are infections, and infections set in, and children become picky eaters, and then they become dehydrated. So this all causes problems and aggravate malnutrition. So also, teenage pregnancy is getting very high. So we believe that the older children should be educated well on this subject matter, the effects of stunted growth, because pregnancy is dangerous when you are too young, or when you are too old, or when it is too often, or it's too soon. So yung mga kondisyones para maging dangerous yung pagbubuntis. So there are many ways to address malnutrition, and the most effective intervention is the intervention in the first 1,000 days, which was discussed earlier. So we believe that mula sa pagbubuntis hanggang sa 2 years old, that's the time that we have to care very much for our children so that they are given the right nutrition, the right care, the right stimulation. So we are in this, we support the Sustainable Development Goals to end all forms of hunger. And so just an invite for those who are interested, we have a convention on March 8 to 10 at Marriott Hotel Manila on the topic Service with Passion Towards a Nourished Nation. And you will see Senator Po as one of our speakers.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ruiz. So if we notice, she actually centered on the role of women this time. The role of women in terms of feeding their infants, their babies, how to breastfeed properly, how to give the proper nutrition from pregnancy, and also the role of teenage pregnancies, of young women, of millennials, of women of all ages when it comes to addressing the problems of malnutrition. So napakahalaga din pala nun, no? So iniisip natin kasi pagka hunger and malnutrition, parang kulang lang sa pagkain eh, kulang sa provision, but apparently it starts from the women. Okay, so now let's hear what the CEO and Executive Editor of Rappler, Miss Maria Reza, has to say about the issue.
Since 2013, we've been focused on this problem, and part of it is because it's so, you don't realize it's a problem. When you see a child or when you see someone who isn't getting the right nutrition, you actually don't realize that, right? You see someone with orange hair, you don't know that they could be, it's malnutrition. They're not getting the right parts. I want to quickly just show you this 1 minute, 30 second. It's an animation. And keep in mind that this issue is one of, and this is from the experts, they say that hunger is one of the most solvable issues globally. Can we just roll that?
Hunger persists because of conflict and climate poverty. But hunger actually starts in the womb. Every year, 17 million children are born underweight. Ideally, a minimum of 1,800 kilocalories a day should be consumed to be healthy. Yet many people go through days, weeks, and months living on much less. Undernourishment is the lack of enough energy and nutrients. It is a less visible form of hunger that affects mothers, children, urban and rural poor. Hunger continues to be a serious problem. 3.1 million children die of malnutrition each year. That's almost 45% of all deaths in children under 5 years old. But hunger can be stopped. You can do something about it. You just need to know how. Engage and help. Spark change. Stop hunger.
Hunger is actually a far more lethal killer than AIDS. It's a far more lethal killer than tuberculosis, than malaria. It is the number one on the list of the world's top 10, right, of killers. And yet, here we are, our GDP is growing, and yet the number of hungry children, the most vulnerable, haven't significantly decreased. So we started in 2013, and now we're very happy to join in this because we think that if we all join together, and it starts with governance, with the laws that are formed, but in the end it goes down to the people, the local government officials, and the school teachers, the parents, to actually make it this work. We think that the statistics will show you, you've heard it, many Filipinos never reach their true potential. And if we don't reach our true potential, how can we hope to compete globally? How can we compete as athletes, as scholars, as scientists?
Thank you so much, Miss Maria Ressa. So she talked about how underrated malnutrition is among all advocacies. I mean, it's there, it's been present for the longest time, but as our economy progresses, the way we address malnutrition, the problem, isn't sufficient enough. And actually, those are astonishing numbers. 45% of children's deaths, 5 below, are because of malnutrition. So now, let's hear from a Nestlé Philippines Senior Vice President for Communication, Marketing, and Innovation to talk about what Nestlé has in store for malnutrition or against malnutrition. Mr. Paulo Mercado.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As Jack said earlier, Nestle, in its very foundation 150 years ago, was founded on helping the hungry. In the story of Henri Nestle, and this was in the little town of Switzerland, in the little town of Vevey in Switzerland, he had helped a neighbor whose child was starving and was not able to ingest milk, and he created the first infant cereal. And we've carried that in our DNA throughout the years. Yes, we're very well known for coffee, chocolate, milk, and other products, but fundamentally, deep in our hearts, Nestle really truly believes that providing accessible nutrition to people all over the world, and especially in the countries that we are in, is critical to our business and our future. One of the main things, for example, that we do currently is that we partnered very strongly with FNRI to try to figure out what are the key micronutrient deficiencies that are happening in the Philippines, and how can we actually scientifically formulate some of our products to be able to address that. And it became one of the most fundamental reformulations that we did with the Bear brand product. And but not only did we reformulate Bear brand, we also made sure to formulate it in a way that it remains affordable to a vast majority of Filipinos. And of course, on the communication and marketing side, we create very memorable songs that everybody sings. They sing that the Nestle jingles are among the top 10 last song syndromes of 2015 and 2016, with micronutrient deficiency and more recently energy gap. But it is not all, let's say, marketing and product formulation. We have one of the largest nutrition research institutes in the world, and we constantly look not only at formulating our products for, let's say, marketing added value, but we look at ways in which we could help contribute to resolve or to help address issues related to nutrition. And last but not least, of course, and the reason why we're here tonight is really supporting initiatives to gather a lot of people together in uniting against the fight on malnutrition and hunger.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Paulo Mercado. So we talked about reformulating or changing the nutrients or adding nutrients in your products to be able to address these issues directly. So I think that's all. It's very, very amazing how we're all here tonight, regardless of what group we're in. Just to be able to bring the underrated issue of malnutrition back up to people's mindsets and remind them na, oy, eto, kailangan natin to i-address. So, thank you so much to all our speakers. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions about the topic. So, I encourage you all to please post on your social media accounts. Use the hashtag #HangryAboutHunger. So, babasahin po namin yung mga tanong nyo. Kung meron po kayong mga comments, questions, we will be entertaining questions from the audience, such as this actually. So from Heidi Sarol, what are other issues? Mamaya. Patikim pa lang yon. So please do post. Like, so ito na. What are other issues that need to be addressed in order to reduce the incidences of hunger and malnutrition? So why don't we start with Doc Mar?
Yeah, I think that is a question that common. But we need to understand the reasons. Well, the chronology. Let's, for example, if you are hungry, that means you are not taking enough food, proper food, or for several days you have not taken that, and as a result of prolonged hunger, you'll be having your what you call underweight. So if you have kumukulang ka sa timbang, and if that is that condition is further prolonged, nagiging stunted ka. So this situation, I think the question is something that how we will what are the other, can you say it again?
Factors po. Ano po yung other factors that cause malnutrition?
In terms of hunger, the availability of appropriate food, the right quality, and of course accessibility, and yung kanyang cost ng pagkain, affordability.
So it's not necessarily poverty that causes malnutrition. So marami pang ibang cause.
Marami pang. And information, correct information about the proper type of food to eat.
When you talk about lack of access, what do you mean exactly?
Maybe some of this particular type of food that may be rich in certain micronutrient will not be available within the area. We are talking about, say for example, in the rural area. Many of us, hindi natin alam that those indigenous vegetables can contribute to better nutrition. How many of us eat here like talinum? You know that? You can see it just around. How many of us eat here himbabao?
Ano po yun?
It's a type of vegetable. Those are indigenous vegetables that are free, that are, but information about the benefit that you can derive from this indigenous vegetable has been lacking. So we need to inform the public that there are other sources of food, vegetable that are around us that can be accessed.
So it's not just lack of access but also lack of information
That's why
about
the
food
last
and
one.
nutrition.
Yeah.
So kay Doc Ruiz naman po, do you think change of diet is enough? Meaning if you add more nutrients to your food, or do you think there are other things that you should address?
Not by diet alone. There are also other things like sanitation and safety. If we are poor in that aspect, then our children are more prone to infections, and infectious diseases can cause other repercussions. Also, I advocate for women empowerment because they are the ones that determine what to eat, what to buy. So they must be well educated so that they can adjust whatever they have in terms of their economy, in terms of capability, as well as their education and what they can provide for their children.
Now, we've been talking about the problem of malnutrition, but how come it's been, so underrated for the past few years? Is it because we put too much emphasis on poverty, or other issues? Or is it just because it's not sexy to deal with? What do you think about that, Ms. Maria Ressa?
It's a hidden problem again, right? So poverty really is the primary cause if you don't have money to buy food. A survey we did with the World Food Program, for example, showed that in some instances, Masbate, for example, 94% of the survey respondents said that they borrowed money for food. 94% borrow money for food. If they borrow money for food, they can't afford. If they don't have access to information, they can't afford the right food. And then think about how that filters down to the kids. If you don't have a feeding program, then you have a problem, right? So the bill addresses that. How do you deal with that as a government? We have these words that are so out there when in the end you have to think it's about the babies, it's about our Filipino kids. The way government would deal with it is we'll have an anti-poverty program. We'll have CCT, right? The conditional cash transfer to give to the poorest family with the idea that that will be used for food or a lot of other things that they need. But it doesn't mean it will be used for food necessarily. So in addition to that, let's say the last government used, created 45,000 feeding centers, but it doesn't legislate to local government officials how they're going to actually deal with malnutrition. So then it depends on the leadership of each mayor, of each governor, how they're going to do that. And if they have other policies, again, what takes the headlines right now? The war on drugs. I like the war on against hunger. That's actually really cool because that, if we do that, we will build a better generation, at least one that reaches our full potential.
To be very honest with you, when I hear hunger, about issues about hunger, the picture that comes to mind for me are the faces of African children, African citizens, but not really of Filipino children. It's usually that's a lack of education, lack of resources. So is it because of marketing, Sir Paulo? What do you
I think one of the key points in just to add on to what Maria had said earlier, let's also remember that the Philippines has experienced and is experiencing, I would say, the longest growth run in quite a long time. It's been almost 10 years of consistent growth, and we have been growing at a clip of about 5.5% GDP per year. And this in 2016 is projected, it's estimated that we have grown 6.8% and maybe even exceed that in 2017. When you have that kind of positive momentum in the economy, then the tendency seems to be that, hey, there's a sense of denial that malnutrition is the problem. And malnutrition doesn't seem to be something that's happening in our backyard anymore. So we tend to externalize it, that is something that happens elsewhere. So the reality is malnutrition is something that we do need to continue to put in front of people, and that we need to put to drive people not only to know about it but to care about it. And the care part is actually very difficult because this is where we need to make the experience of hunger real for people, and then to also make them understand what is the long-term impact on our country.
more personal
Very
in that
personal,
aspect?
yes.
Actually, if you come to think about it, why would these parents spend on quality food when they have other things to think about, like
Correct.
education, like sending their children to school, living on a day-to-day basis? Why would you invest on that?
Yes.
Maybe it's because of lack of information.
Yeah.
Now we still have questions from the audience. Let's turn over the floor to our audience for questions. Anybody? Do you have questions? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name, your organization, and your question.
Hi, I'm Carla from ASEAN Youth Leaders Association. I have a question for Mr. Paolo. Since I'm a marketing person also, I'm concerned about how does your group intend to spread the word about malnutrition and fight against hunger? Any other initiatives that could engage millennials to join you, Nestle, in this advocacy?
I will be introducing that in quite an extensive way later on in the program. But fundamentally, United for Healthier Kids is a coalition that we are forming. It's a coalition not just of Nestle, but it is a coalition together with several other partners that we are uniting under one platform. And that platform is actually a website, a very simple URL, U4HK, U4HK.ph, which we want people like yourselves to just simply visit And when you visit, you will not only get facts about malnutrition, but you will actually get access to each of the partner NGOs that we have, where you will have the opportunity to actually volunteer, donate, or share directly to those NGOs when you visit the platform. So for us, we want the U4HK effort to be a direct link from generating awareness, generating empathy, into providing you a portal for direct action.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Kathy from s.ph. This is for anyone in the panel. So, in the latest SWS survey, the self-rated food poverty was at 34%. And in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, the numbers actually vary. Why do you think there's a difference, and what can we do to actually address this? As mentioned earlier by Ms. Grace Poe, it seems that the things that are being given a lot of attention are aesthetics, and the real problems are not being concerned or a concern by society. How can we push this further without becoming too self-righteous? And how can we make people more aware that this really is an important thing that should be addressed by every single one of us here in this room and outside using our own influences?
Anybody who would like to answer that?
Start with each. We're all here. How many are we? Maybe 200 people. We start with each of our networks. If you believe in it, then you spread it. It is a fundamental. It is the future. It is part of not just governance, but our private lives. So why do they differ? Partly, I think you've seen all the stats. It's partly because of the farmers themselves, the markets that are created, the lack of education in terms of what needs to happen, the type of government assistance that goes in. I mean, perhaps you can talk more about that in terms of how much is given to hunger, to malnutrition. Not as much as...
Doc Mark?
Yeah, it's not that much, but I'd like to say that, well, there's the differences between the statistics and from different area. Just you see the climate change. Do we see the rain in Manila? Now, you can see that. You can hear what's happening in Cebu. You can see what's happening in Cagayan de Oro. So if there's a prolonged rain and we have drought than Lord, then you can see the various statistics. So that's one. And also in terms of the what you call the geographically isolated area, the GIDA. So based on our data, these are the islands that have been not easily reached by assistance. So that's why we identified that areas which are very difficult to reach by intervention, by assistance, they are worse off in terms of hunger and malnutrition. So you can see the differences between areas. And we need to direct our intervention, our assistance to this particular area. One mention is well, the farmers. But we zero into the farmers. Who among these farmers, and you will be surprised, is the fisher folks, yung ating mga mangingisda. And they are the one catching our fish. But their children are worse off. It ranges about, the stunting rate is about 40%. 4 out of 10 of their kids are stunted. Bakit? So those are the things that if we put intervention, we need to focus along this area. And we know that based on our data.
Sir, I think I just want to ask a question, no? Kasi I think this is very, very important. At the backstage, we were talking about malnutrition, kung ano talaga yung malnutrition. Kasi sabi natin, when we have feeding programs or when we dole out food to the poor, it's usually carbs. Katulad ng kinain natin, giniling na mais, lugaw. Pero ano ba yung kailangan natin exactly na nandoon para sapat yung nutrition?
Yes, akong sinasabi natin malnutrition, maraming mukha kasi ang malnutrition. Mukha ng sobra, mukha ng malnutrition na kulang. But if we talk about yung kulang, which is the underweight or stunting, ano ba ang kinakain ng ating mga children, mga 6 months onwards. Yung sinasabi ni Senator na first 1,000 days. So, punta tayo dun sa 6 months to 2 years. Ano yung commonly kinakain nila? And these are lugaw, and you experience it. If we want to be nourished, it should contain at least the carbohydrates and the good quality protein. So, a combination of this will promote growth. Just a simple combination, bigas at munggo. Ano ang nasa bigas? These are carbohydrates. But they are not much in terms of protein. So pag sinamahan mo siya ng munggo, which is very rich in protein, in the right proportion, and the protein quality nitong munggo ay mas maganda at isama mo sa bigas, then it will promote growth. So nagiging underweight sila kasi kulang yung tinatawag nating protein and energy. But bukod pa doon, kulang pa siya sa micronutrient. So that's why we are proposing that a program on food fortification. So that's how we address it. We need to understand yung mga problema and yung causes ng problem. Yung kinakain, ano ang klase ng pagkain.
Kumbaga carbohydrates, protein, tsaka energy. Kaya mag-Milo na tayo lahat. Hindi gusto ko lang ipasok yun. Beat the energy gap. Now we have one last question from the audience. Okay, over there.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Jumel Cuico from CEU Manila, BS in Nutrition and Dietetics student. We all know that there are different broad factors that affect hunger and malnutrition in our country. So, from the different agencies, companies like Nestle, media, and academe, where do you think the nutrition practitioners must focus more onto and why?
First and foremost, we have the surveys that tells us the kinds of problems that we have. So all nutrition dietetics professionals must know the causes of this, how are they managed. So being a nutritionist dietitian, the bulk of the work is more on stunting, malnutrition, but there are also other specialty areas where one can focus her expertise or her training and development. So it depends on the person, what to specialize, but I think projects of the government like school feeding, providing nutritionist dietitian in the Department of Education so that there will be someone to look at the meals and compute for their nutritional value rather than just providing them with food is one good example. Also, increasing our workforce in public health so that more population can be reached and trying out more strategies, not just by education, because people know, but they may not understand why. And by understanding does not translate to doing things.
Actually, it is very, very important to note, I think, that when it comes to malnutrition, it's not just about lack of education or lack of resources. It's also linked to other issues such as climate change and women empowerment. So parang ang dami nating pwedeng gawin when it comes to addressing malnutrition. So our last question is directed to Mr. Paulo Mercado. What exactly is Nestle going to do to help address these problems?
Thank you, Gretchen. At Nestle, we actually launched United for Healthier Kids back in 2014. United for Healthier Kids is actually a global initiative to help address the health issues concerning children all over the world. In most parts of the world, actually, the issue that they deal with is more obesity. But when we started when we launched this in 2014, we saw that the biggest problem in the Philippines is malnutrition. And so we sought out to address that. In the beginning, our approach was very simple, that we would provide nutrition education, we would provide a digital platform through our U4HK website and through our Facebook page, and also through a radio program that we did in partnership with ABS-CBN to provide nutrition education to the masses. And after about a year and a half of doing that, we realized that, it is not enough for Nestle to just do nutrition education. And we were also humble enough to realize that the problem is so big, it is a problem that we cannot solve alone. So that is when we realized that if United for Healthier Kids is to truly make an impact, there are two things that are necessary. The first one is that for Nestle, we need to look at this as really a long-term program, not a short-term one-off communication campaign, but a true long-term program that we commit to and we commit to financially to support in the long term. The second one is actually that we need to create a coalition of people, of organizations that not only educate but actually work at interventions that will truly make a difference for malnutrition. And this is what U4HK is about. It is a coalition. It is a coalition of like-minded organizations and individuals who are uniting under one, let's say, umbrella name, but more of one digital platform that we at Nestle, we will be helping to support by driving the awareness and by driving a communication program behind it so that we generate traffic to people, to generate traffic of potential sponsors, volunteers, donors, who will give attention to the programs of our partner organizations. With some dispensation, I'm going to ask Jack if I can actually reveal the amount of commitment that Nestle is prepared. So Nestle is committed in the U4HK.ph program that we will be funding the U4HK platform to generate awareness for all of our partners of 100 million over the next 3 years. So more or less about 33 million a year for the next 3 years to really drum up awareness and action under United for Healthier Kids. So this is something that we're very committed to doing. And this is something we're very committed to doing, and this is something that we're actually asking our partners and other companies to join us in actually helping to support the organizations that are behind United for Healthier Kids.
Right, I think it's very crucial. We have a very, very empowered audience in front of us. We have millennials here. We have different people from different organizations, different generations. But I think it is worthy to note that a while ago you mentioned that the millennials are very important because we are going to take care of the next generation. And it depends on the way we are educated, the way we talk about malnutrition.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a very, very good advocacy. United for Healthier Kids. We have the coalition of organizations geared towards us. Thank you so much once again to all of our experts. Once again, Dr. Mario Capansana, Dr. Adela Hamurabo Ruiz, and Miss Maria Reza, and of course, Mr. Paulo Mercado. Now we would like to ask everyone to rise up for a short photo op. To ask once again Mr. Paulo Mercado to please remain on stage to tell us more about the Nestle United for Healthier Kids program.
Thank you very much, Gretchen. I would like to take this opportunity we've been talking a lot about United for Healthier Kids, but United for Healthier Kids is not the program, it's not the coalition that it is today without our partners. So we kicked off United for Healthier Kids in 2014, and I would like to acknowledge now the partners, contributors, and the key participants who have come together with Nestle and are giving their invaluable participation into this program to make it a success. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge the country's leading media and entertainment company, ABS-CBN. ABS-CBN pledges its commitment as a media partner to U4HK to provide resources to reach more people through its talents, shows, assets, and initiatives. And since children shape our future, ABS-CBN recognizes its responsibility in ensuring that each and every child has the opportunity to grow and achieve their full potential for their families and as a member of society. As a partner, ABS-CBN stands by U4HK's commitment in giving the next generation the healthiest possible start in life. ABS-CBN, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, FNRI from the DOST is U4HK's most trusted data source and research partner. We cannot fight hunger if we do not have the right data in order to know where to direct this fight against hunger. Their data aids us in the development of sound recommendations that would guide the U4HK programs for the sake of really helping our Filipino children. The Food and Research Institute of the Philippines, FNRI. The Nutritionist Dietitians Association of the Philippines seeks to promote public consciousness of the role of the nutritionists and dietitians in improving the health and to promote relations with national and international organizations in food nutrition and allied fields. The Nutritionist Dietitians Association of the Philippines. One of our important partners is actually the world's largest social media platform. Founded in 2004, Facebook's mission is to give people the power to share and make the world a more open and connected place. People, of course, use Facebook to stay connected with family and friends and discover what's going on. Facebook generally provides us a tremendous amount of media impressions within their platform to help us now generate awareness on the Facebook platform of United for Healthier Kids. So Facebook. And to round off our media partners, of course, with Maria Ressa, Rappler, which is a social network, social news network where stories inspire the community and engagement for social change. It is the preferred news portal of millennials, and since about 2013 has been the most constant news portal in driving awareness about hunger with their Hunger Project. So Rappler as a partner for U4HK. Now let me introduce you to the contributors whose programs make a direct impact to the children that we are trying to help. A Single Drop of Water has been working with disadvantaged and conflict-affected communities across the Philippines to promote positive hygiene behavior and practices and improving the ability to supply safe water while building strong governance systems. A Single Drop of Water. The Children's Hour is a fundraising, friends-raising, and fund-giving organization that aims to provide disadvantaged Filipino children better access to quality education, quality health, and nutrition, and a good quality of life. The Children's Hour. The Children's Joy Foundation is a social welfare development agency focusing on child protection, welfare, and development. It has two core programs, namely the Residential-Based Support Program and the Community-Based Support Program, which cater to the needs of children who are either abandoned, orphaned, dependent, or neglected, and children in disaster calamity-stricken areas and indigenous communities. Children's Joy Foundation. The Children's Mission Philippines Hills of Grace Foundation Incorporated is a non-government, non-profit organization. The organization focuses on three key areas: education, child welfare, and community development. It has organized various programs in education, health, values, and Christian living. The Children's Mission. Now, the organization would not be complete without the country's premier humanitarian organization. the Philippine Red Cross is committed to provide quality life-saving services that protect the life and dignity of Filipinos in vulnerable situations. The Philippine Red Cross provides 6 major services, from blood services, disaster management services, safety, health, welfare, and the Red Cross Youth and Volunteer Services. The Philippine Red Cross. Project Pearls. Its main mission is to help children get out of poverty and to enable them to achieve their dreams. Project Pearls focuses on the following areas: education, nutrition, and economic community development. Project Pearls aims to feed hundreds daily and to send to school as many children as possible, to improve the care and support for children and families with health issues, and to have the community have a sustainable livelihood project. Ladies and gentlemen, Project Pearls. Reach Out and Feed Philippines. It's a non-profit organization with a mission to feed and nourish Filipino children, regardless of religion, ethnicity, or gender. Through hashtag Project Baon, a school meal program for undernourished Filipino children, Reach Out and Feed Philippines works with the poor communities and public schools in 10 locations all around the country. Reach Out and Feed Philippines. The Verlani Foundation reaches out to street children in the Philippines by providing them with health care assistance, access to safe water, and nutritious food, together with educational, psychological, and even legal support. Since its inception, the organization has helped to care for more than 17,000 children who need special protection. The Verlani Foundation. And last but not least, Waves for Water Philippines was created with one goal in mind: to provide clean drinking water to those in need. Waves for Water's presence in the Philippines began when they responded to Typhoon Yolanda in 2013. Waves for Water Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the founding partners and contributors to United for Healthier Kids. Now, this coalition is a coalition that is joining the fight against malnutrition. It is a small start. It is something that we have worked hard to do. But malnutrition is still a very real situation in our country. It is real and it is happening all over the country, as people have said. It is something actually that many people are aware of. But unfortunately, not very many people in the Philippines actually care about this. In a social media study that we did last year, we actually took a look at the top trending social issues that millennials care about. And sadly, malnutrition ranks among the lowest of social issues that millennials talk about on social media. This is unacceptable. It is unacceptable for an issue that is bigger than things like the war on drugs, or that is bigger than other things that affect our country today. It affects 7 million children, and we need to do something about it. We need to work for change. But if true change is to happen, we all need to join in the fight against malnutrition and join in the fight. That's why we ask all of you to get hungry about hunger. And this is why we have done the United for Healthier Kids Coalition and yesterday launched the U4HK.ph website. This is a website that we have put together all of the facts that we have been talking about today, and where you can also take a look at the Hungry About Hunger experience. And we invite you, the millennials, to actually try the food that you have tried today and experience what it's like to be hungry for a day and see how that makes you feel. Working with FNRI, we have also created a hunger heat map to point out where are the incidences of hunger, and you can actually click on each region to see the details. But we wanted it to be more than that. We wanted to highlight who is doing something about hunger in these regions. And therefore, once you see the activities, the portal allows you to volunteer and we have a calendar of activities where we took all of the activities of our organizations, we put it in a calendar portal so you can easily click it, see what's happening this weekend, and actually go and volunteer directly. We've also provided an opportunity for people to donate and look at the activities of each of our participants and make a direct donation on their portals. And last but not least, we've also provided an opportunity to share about the issue, to take any of the social cards that we have put there, put it in your own network, and spread the word. Very simple, U4HK.ph, volunteer, donate, and share. That is all we ask. Malnutrition, it may be a big problem, but we believe that if we all work together in a very simple way, with very simple actions, we can make a difference, one plate at a time, one child at a time. Let's fight malnutrition together. Let us get hungry about hunger, and let us unite for healthier kids. Please join us and visit u4hk.ph to make a difference. At Nestle, we believe that the fight against malnutrition should really start at home. So when we launched United for Healthier Kids, we asked our own employees, can you also donate not just your money but your time? And to actually spend time with one of our partner organizations. And this they did recently. And this is their experience in joining one of the projects with Project Pearl.
NGO na ang mission po niya is to help the poorest of the poor children. So, yun talaga yung focus namin sa mga bata.
So, we want children na maging literate pa rin despite such a situation na meron sila.
Immersing in the reality, it really hits you. It really helps to have occasions and opportunities like this and be part of the greater picture of society. It is such a worthwhile experience.
It's a very good feeling to be part of the activity. We can take simple steps to really educate kids and their moms to eat right. The kids seem very, very alive. They're very happy to welcome us. They're very active, very participative during the activity. Nakakatuwa yun. Nakakataba ng puso.
And as you've all seen in the video, we invite you all to just do the same. Simply visit u4hk.ph and just volunteer, donate, and share. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paolo. Please remain on stage as we call on Sir Jacques Reber to join us as we commemorate the support of all of you who are here tonight. First off, we call on the representatives from the founding partners and contributors and likewise co-ambassadors to please join Paolo and Sir Jacques on stage. May we also call on stage for the presence of the following: ABS-CBN representative, Dr. Capanzana, FNRI, Dr. Hamurabo Ruiz, NDAP. Maria Ressa, Rappler. Our NGOs, a single drop for safe water representative. Children's Hour representative. Children's Joy Foundation representative. Children's Mission representative. Philippine Red Cross representative. Reach Out and Feed Philippines representative. Verlani Foundation representative. Waves for Water representative. Kim Chu. Gerald Anderson. And Gretchen Hall. To show your continuing support to fight hunger and malnutrition, we'd like to ask all of our partners to do the United for Healthier Kids hand gesture. Let's do it now, everyone.
And now we would like to invite everyone from the audience to join us in this important fight. Please do stand up, everyone, and join us in our pledge as we get hangry about hunger. So please raise your hands and do the sign, the left over the right hand.
On behalf of the Filipino children that you are supporting with your pledge, and on behalf of the United for Healthier Kids, we thank you.
Once again, we would like to thank everyone who supported us and took the pledge with us. But before we end the program, thank you to our partners, Kim Chu, Gerald Anderson. Hindi ko alam na third party ako dito. Joke lang. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Of course, Sir Jacques Reber. And at this point, may we call on the Program Officer for Health of Anti-Poverty Advocacies and Programs Unit of the Office of the Vice President. Let's welcome Mr. Rex Cause for the closing remarks.
Mr. Jacques Reber, Chairman and CEO of Nestlé Philippines. Dr. Mario Capanzana, Director of Food and Nutrition Research Institute. Dr. Adela Hamurabo Ruiz, President of Nutritionists Dietitians Association of the Philippines. Mr. Paulo Mercado, Senior Vice President, Communication, Marketing, and Innovation of Nestle Philippines. Ms. Maria Ressa, Chairman and Executive Director of Rappler. Fellow workers in government, friends from the media, students at the back, partners in development, ladies and gentlemen, isang masiglang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Before I go on, allow me to express Vice President Lenny Robredo's heartfelt apologies to all of you. She very much wanted to join us, but schedule constraints prevented her from coming here. Nevertheless, Vice President Lenny asked us to be here on her behalf because she believes that our message must be shared with you. At the same time, she would like to know how we could ultimately work together for the sake of our country's children. We are happy to be part of this campaign, United for Healthier Kids, as inspired by the leadership of Nestlé Philippines and its partners. The call now is for us to strengthen our efforts further so that more Filipino children can gain access to better nutrition. We believe at the Office of the Vice President is in a particularly good position to partner with Nestle for U4HK. You see, just last October 2016, the Office of the Vice President launched its 5-point anti-poverty framework, and it's a comprehensive strategy to fight poverty in the Philippines, one that respects the complexity of the country's socio-economic problems. In building this framework, VP Lenny traveled to some of the most remote and impoverished communities around the country. Together with her small team, she listened to the stories of her poorest families. She sought to understand what it was that they truly needed from the government. It wasn't always easy. Often, conditions in these communities were rough, the physical and cultural terrain difficult to navigate, but it was always worth it. There's a great deal of insight to be gathered when you engage the people you're meant to serve. You see firsthand the urgency of their situation. You see the acute and long unanswered need. Most importantly, you become real to each other, human in your dialogue. Like Nestle Philippines, VP Lenny also spent her first 100 days meeting with a diverse range of groups. In workshops and meetings, she talked to people from the public and the private sector, from the academe and the development industry, all the way to civil society. In these discussions, we brainstormed on the ways we could best tackle poverty. VP Lenny's anti-poverty framework was the fruit of all these engagements, and we think that the most special thing about it is that it is built on the story of the ordinary Filipino people. Our dream of reducing poverty is our dream for every parent, every child, and every community that they are part of. One of our 5 focus areas in an anti-poverty drive is nutrition and food self-sufficiency. That is what we truly have in common with U4HK. VP Lenny has always championed greater food security in the country. When she was still in Congress, she filed the National Food Security Bill of 2015. Through this bill, the government could streamline food procurement and distribution systems nationwide, specifically to solve hunger and malnutrition among our children. The bill also sought to create a feeding program for children aged 1 to 13. Under this system, small-scale farmers would be identified as suppliers, and the government would be required to procure at least 30% of their food supplies from these farmers. VP Lenny wants to expand that farm-to-feeding concept through her anti-poverty framework. Experience has shown her that it can be done. During her term as Congresswoman of Camarines Sur, she put together a feeding program for the poorest kids in her district. But it didn't stop there. She also tapped the potential of the smallholder farmers in participating communities, engaging them as suppliers in the feeding program. The unique design of the program assured us of 3 things. First, that children in need would get the nutrition that they need to prevent stunting and wasting. 2, that local farmers could scale up their livelihood, develop a sense of enterprise, and contribute further towards the economy. And finally, and most crucial of all, the communities would gain a sense of empowerment, that they could be part of the solution, that everyone could work together to make things happen. That's exactly what VP Lenny wants to implement on a nationwide scale. Imagine a Philippines where every community can fight hunger and malnutrition, and at the same time, introduce rural development. We can. I know that we all can. To improve nutrition and food security in the country, VP Lenny also wants to take a multi-pronged, seamless approach. We can't solve this through feeding programs alone. Under VP Lenny's framework, we plan to advocate the integration of government initiatives so that education, healthcare, nutrition, and rural development programs are in harmony with each other. By integrating these efforts, we can meet our goals much more efficiently. To get these initiatives off the ground, we're going to empower local government units and build their capacity to handle these projects. LGUs, after all, are at the center of the action. They're also wonderfully positioned given their proximity to their constituents. Local government leaders, therefore, have tremendous insight on the particular needs of their communities. Our LGUs won't be the only ones moving. The Office of the Vice President, although not an implementing agency, plays the role of a conduit between local governments and potential partners. VP Lenny envisions our office as conveners of change, as a channel for necessary talent and resources for LGUs and their partners. Throughout this, VP Lenny believes that we should keep pace with the latest research on nutrition and health. With current research to guide us, we can craft more responsive policies so that resulting government action is more fruitful and effective. Here's what we know so far. The Philippines has the most number of wasted children in Southeast Asia, especially in certain parts of the Visayas and Mindanao. Meanwhile, stunting has actually worsened in the country, going up from 30.3% in 2013 to 33.4% in 2015. What's more, at least 38% of children in rural areas are stunted. And among the poorest quintile in the country, 49% of children are stunted. That's practically half the children population among the country's poorest. We shouldn't be discouraged by this. It's true that the challenges ahead of us are formidable, but the good news is that we're all doing something about it. Together, we're standing up for the welfare of Filipino children everywhere. Indeed, Vice President Lenny believes that the only way we can fulfill our goals is by engaging each other towards positive action. I would like to take this chance to invite you to join us. Our doors are open for anyone who wants to aid our cause. At the same time, we assure you of our full support towards U4HK. In this initiative, VP Lenny sees fertile ground for partnership, where we can grow our shared vision of a Philippines free from hunger. With enough effort and commitment, we can make that vision bear fruit, so that even the poorest children can have a shot at a better, stronger, and healthier life. Together, let's be hungry about hunger. On behalf of Vice President Lenny Robredo, thank you very much and congratulations to everyone.
Our warmest greetings to the attendees of Nestlé Philippines Incorporated's launch of the United for Healthier Kids platform and forum on malnutrition. We believe that the first freedom that has to be won in our country is freedom from hunger. As part of our advocacy to end hunger and malnutrition, we have been focusing on maternal, neonatal, and child health and nutrition, especially in prevention of stunting, which becomes irreversible once a child turns 5 years old. We've been meeting with several partners who focus on nutrition and have pledged technical support and information sharing on proper feeding programs. Ultimately, we must focus on the nutrition of our children, for they are the key to our future. This is also an open invitation to everyone to join us at our Angat Buhay program, our flagship anti-poverty program in the Office of the Vice President. We have a lot of young people like you volunteering with us, who have been going with us in our provincial trips, who have been helping us, working with our partners. The invitation is open to everyone. This would be a good chance for you in making the first step to make our country better for all Filipinos. Muli, binabati namin kayo sa inyong pagtitipon. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang ating bayan.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Vice President, Ms. Leni Robredo. Thank you also to Mr. Rex Cos and to the Office of the Vice President for sharing with us this important message. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank everyone for coming here tonight, especially our panelists, Ms. Maria Reza, Doc Capanzana, Doc Ruiz, Paulo, and Mr. Jacques Reber. We have all been educated now about malnutrition, and I think it's our responsibility to get the word out there. This is not just the efforts of Nestle. This is a multi-sectoral effort, but the public, private organizations, we have the NGOs, the youth, everyone who is here tonight. Let's all work together to make United for Healthier Kids very successful. 3 things: volunteer, donate, and share. And let us all start by getting hungry about hunger. Let's all start uniting for healthier kids. Once again, my name is Gretchen Ho. It has been my pleasure being with you here tonight and to join you in this wonderful cause. Have a good night, everyone.
Walang malayo